Okay, so I am going to be really analyzing this film, and there will be spoilers. And if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it now and then come back. I think I'm the only person who was a kid when this came out who wasn't scared by it. I was actually more fascinated by it than I was scared. Not only does it have absolutely fantastic stop-motion animation, it's also a very rich, deep film. There's so many visual metaphors, double meanings, and things you don't pick up on the first time that it warrants multiple viewings. Even all these years later, I still pick up on things I didn't notice before. This was a very controversial movie when it came out because there is a lot of creepy imagery in this film, and there is a lot of danger for the main child character. I can totally see why a lot of parents were angry at this movie, especially because it only got a PG, when frankly it really should have been PG-13. I'm not sure how they managed to get away with such a lax rating. But at the same time, I think it is good for kids to be scared every once in a while, within reason. I'm not saying show them things that are way too advanced for them. For example, don't be showing them slasher flicks, but I see this as sort of a modern-day grim fairy tale, which is kind of what the book was. Disney has sort of sanitized our idea of what fairy tales are. When fairy tales, if you read the original fairy tales that the Disney movies are based on, they are dark, man. They're dark. So Disney has sort of sanitized the idea of what a fairy tale is. They've also sort of sanitized the idea of what animation is. Animation is thought of as just a kid's medium when really it can be so much richer, it can be so much darker, it can be so much more complex. And yes, I have read the book that this is based on. It's one of my favorites, but I will not be comparing the book to the movie except for one thing that kind of irks me. I'm only looking at the movie on its own merit. Like I said, it's almost a modern-day grim fairy tale with a fantasy world, lots of danger, and a great lesson at the end. It's also kind of a new take on Alice in Wonderland. Now, let me explain. Coraline, much like Alice, prefers to escape to a fantasy world because she's not content with her life. Once there, she's drawn in by the various wonders. Even the other mother refers to these things as wonders. You can't tell me that these similarities are coincidence. There's also a talking cat who comes and goes as he pleases, and much like how the Cheshire Cat warns Alice that everyone in Wonderland is mad, the cat warns Coraline that not everything in this world is as good as it seems. There's also a lot of double meaning in some of the writing. Take the Other Father song, for example.
She's as cute as a button in the eyes of everyone who ever laid their eyes on Coraline. When she comes around exploring, Mom and I will never ever make it boring. Our eyes will be on Coraline.
Foreshadowing that there's plans for her. That's the lead singer of They Might Be Giants singing that song, and when this movie was very early in production, it was originally envisioned as a musical. They Might Be Giants actually recorded more songs for this movie, but as the script changed, the songs were phased out, except for that one. Unfortunately, Universal Pictures still has the rights to those songs, so they'll most likely never be released. Hashtag release the musical cut. Hey, it worked for Justice League. Another clever little bit of visual foreshadowing is Coraline's Welcome Home cake. In handwriting analysis, double O is said to be a giveaway of when someone is lying. The O in the word home has a loop, meaning Coraline is welcome, but she's not home. And at first, the film does sort of play with your mind a bit. Is Coraline really visiting this other world, or is it all a dream? It's not exactly clear at first. Another foreshadowing is this line.
Oh, I found some rat crap, and I thought you'd feel safer.
Now, at first you think, oh, the mom is just confusing mice for rats. But then later, this scene happens.
Stop! It's one of the circus mice!
I don't like rats at the best of times, but this one was sounding an alarm.
Good, kitty.
So they were rats all along. The score in this movie is also beautifully contradictory. It sounds very pretty, but at the same time has a lot of darker undertones. Now, as much as I love this film, I do have a few issues with it, mainly the character of Wybie. I find him unnecessary. I know I said I wasn't going to compare to the book, but this is a change I really don't think needs to be there. Wybie's not in the book, so adding him to the movie feels very unnecessary, and I think actually makes Coraline a weaker character as a consequence. In the book, she was able to defeat the other mother by herself, but in the movie, they had Wybie basically come in at the last second to rescue her. The film would have been a bit stronger if Coraline had been able to overcome the other mother on her own completely. It would have shown kids you could overcome anything life throws at you, kind of like Series of Unfortunate Events in a way. It's also not really clear why the other mother hates cats. They just say that she does, but never really explain why. Given that she's essentially a witch of some sort, and cats are often witches' familiars, shouldn't she be more embracing of cats? It's also not exactly clear what the other mother really is. She's some sort of creature who can change her appearance to look like whoever she wants, and obviously has some sort of creationary power because she made an entire world, and clearly some sort of creature who needs human souls, especially children's souls, to keep living. But it's not exactly clear what she is. I get it, she's supposed to be sort of like the witch from Hansel and Gretel, or could maybe even be interpreted as the devil, gradually luring people away with temptation until they willingly give up their soul, but I feel like we needed more explanation for this. Anyway, those are my thoughts and observations. What are yours? Did this movie scare you as a kid? And what are some other things you noticed that I didn't point out? Let's have a fun discussion in the comments. Coraline for me gets an A-, 9 out of 10, and 4 out of 5 stars.